Hey, welcome to Pheasant Lane Farm. My name's Robert and I appreciate you stopping by today. If you're a continued subscriber, we appreciate it. If this is your first time ever checking us out, we appreciate it and welcome. So a few months back, I did a video on our, I guess you would say, newly completed horse barn. We started construction in 21. We got the shell up, then we did concrete, and we slowly kind of started working on horse stalls. We did these three first. We since added these two over here. So we have a 5-stall barn and a small 10 by 10 climate controlled tack room. Growing up with horses, we never, on our place where I grew up, we never had a tack room. And I said, you know, if I ever build a barn, it doesn't have to be huge, but you can fit a lot of stuff in a small space if you're organized, but I had to have a tack room. So I've been getting a lot of comments on that video and people emailing me saying, hey, we love how simplistic your stalls are. We love how they're modular. You got to do an in-depth video on how you built them. And sorry I put you guys off for a while. We had our county fair and fall got busy. I actually went back to work after being retired for nearly 3 years. Actually, I'm an intern right now in the ag retail business. So it's been pretty busy. I just got home from work today. I called my wife. I say, hey, before I even come in the house, I got to shoot this video because I know there's some people waiting on it. So did soil sampling for 8 hours today. I am tired, but you know, it never ends on a farm. Cattle need fed, horses need brought in. But before I do that, I definitely want to take a quick minute and shoot this video. So if you guys are new to the channel, a quick rundown. This barn is 30 wide by 80 long. Yes, I wish it was wider. I would love to have a 50 by 80. Even a 40 would have been nice. At the time when we built this barn, I wasn't working. I was seriously injured at work, and I kind of jumped out on a whim, and I wasn't going to let some certain events in my life stop us from having our dreams. So I had enough money in the savings account to build the shell of this barn, 30 by 80, do the concrete and haul in a lot of the stone and do the stalls. I would love to have some fancy prefab stall fronts, but the more I think about it, or I thought about it, I should say, things change. Right now we have 2 minis. We had a mare and a foal. The mare passed away a week after the foal was born. Many of you know Apollo, our foal. Because Peaches passed away, we had to find a different step-up horse for Kiddo to ride until Apollo's ready in 3 or 4 years from now. So we bought a horse named Jingles, and things are just constantly changing. So right now, this is set up as 5 stalls. When Apollo was born, our big foaling stall over here is 12 by 20 or 22, I do believe. And we had some issues where we wanted Peaches and Apollo next to each other. She wasn't feeling well. Obviously, she had some issues that we tried to take care of. She wasn't being the most friendly with him. So within a moment's notice, we were able to build a center wall, still keep him where she could nuzzle him, which she was showing some of that affection. But I didn't feel safe just having him in with her all the time. And I didn't want to have him all the way across the aisleway next to his 2 miniature uncles. So I like the modularity that we built into this barn. I think it looks nice. Some of the wood in the background was meant as temporary, and it ended up working better than what we had hoped in the long run. So let me show you guys a little bit what we did here. A few things to keep in mind. Now, I know someone's going to say you shouldn't hook the wood straight to the girts. The girts are, these are your beams, your poles, your columns, your post frame, whatever you want to call them. Different places call them different things. Your girts are the boards that run this way that your outside metal hooks to. Well, those columns are 6x6 laminated columns, perma columns on concrete bases. If you would bring in, on all 3 sides of the stall, if you would bring in the wood, that's 6 inches, it really kind of cuts down on the square footage. It's not a lot, but I wanted to keep every square inch of these stalls as we could. So that's something to keep in mind. If you build a 30-foot barn or a 50-foot width barn, you guys got to remember that width is on the outside. So coming in, you have your metal, which is onto the girts. The girts are 1.5 inches, and then your posts. So a barn that is actually 30 wide, if you build it 30 wide, on the inside, you're going to be less than a foot short. You're actually going to be a foot 3 inches because you have 1.5 inches 2x4 on each side, the width of your columns. So just keep that in mind. If you want 3 10-foot or 3 12-foot stall fronts, you have to plan accordingly and add a little bit extra. Just something that I've seen a lot of people run into online after the fact. But we were able to put these stalls in and use as much of the space as possible. Let's get in here and talk about the ideas that went into this barn when I built it, and we'll show you how we built our stalls. All right, so we've moved into our first stall on this side of 3. This belongs to Kiddo's little barrel pony, trail pony, cart pony named Rascal. He's a great guy. I wish I could sell him just for the fact that she's outgrown him. And last weekend she took him on a trail ride. You tell people he's not for sale, they just keep doubling their offer. I was halfway to buying a new truck, but kind of scared Kiddo might stab me in my sleep if I sell him. So while we're in here real quick, let's take one more minute to talk about these girts, kind of show you. I'm a visual person. I'm sure some of you are. This is a 2x4 girt. As you can see, it is above where our stalls are. We decided to only go up 6 feet. None of the horses that we have are going to mess with that up there. None of them are cribbers. And I see people build barns and they only go up 3 or 4 feet for a kick wall. I don't know. I've seen images and I've known people who've had horses kick through metal siding. It's not something I ever want to see happen to any of our horses. It's not much more money to go all the way up to the 6-foot mark. Yeah, they might be able to chew on the top at some point in time, but they're never going to be able to get their feet higher than 6 foot in the air to kick through that metal. But that's a 2x4 girt. As you can see, that hooks on the outside of your beams. It goes from beam to beam, and that's what you attach your metal to. Here is our middle wall on our barn. The other side is our 30x40 cattle area. And you can see up top here, that is a 2x6 girt. Everywhere that was below the 6-foot mark, I had them put 2x6 girts, and I think we even added another one on the horse side, just for that extra stability, rigidity. And this plywood, I believe, without going back and looking, it's thicker than 3/4, but it's not quite 1 inch. I don't know what it'd be, 11/16, something like that off the top of my head. It probably even says it on the wall if I look hard enough. But that wood being on 4 girts right there, nothing's going to kick it, and it is solid. One more consideration to make: there are a lot of people that still build barns, pole barns, post frames, whatever you want to call it, and they still use nails on a lot of areas. Everything in this barn is screwed, and not just any screw. It cost me about an extra $1,000 or $1,500. Everything is screwed with GRK structural screws. And you could basically bounce the tractor off this. It's not going to pop the screws out of this. So I know a horse or a cow kicking it is not going to do it also. The only nails we do have are around like the door trims and the garage door. I'm not a big fan of having nails around stalls, around livestock. A girl that works our local Tractor Supply, I'm in there almost every day, she said that she didn't even know there was a nail in her horse stall. Somehow it must have held an old bucket or something. The horse got to it, started playing with it, and somehow bent it and actually shoved it through its nose. So, just not a big fan of nails. But all these boards behind me are screwed on to this with structural screws. All the girts behind it are screwed onto the beams with structural screws, and they're not going anywhere. So let me just flip you around. I get a lot of questions on these sidewalls here, and we'll talk about that. All right, behind me you can see there is one of our perma columns, laminated columns, and it didn't line up where I wanted a stall wall to go. So the solution I came up with, I bought a 2x6. At the top, I blocked it out the same distance as this plywood, or else it would be kind of bowed a little bit. I ran a 2x6 again with GRK structural screws, and I wanted them to be modular. If Kiddo decides to get out of horses or we shift to show cattle, which, yeah, we bought a show bull last month. You never know what's going to happen with livestock. If something ever happened where we have a sick horse and he needs a stall, or he needs this whole side of this barn, which would be a 12x30 pen, we have the ability to do that, and we can do it easily. So what I did is I bought I bought this angle here. I believe if you Google, galvanized punched angle, it'll pop right up. There's different thicknesses of it. One brand I found has a very sharp edge on it. I did not buy any more of that. The other brand I found, the edges were rounded, and that's what I replaced everything in here with. What I did is, it's an angle. I just put it right on the 2x6 with an 1.5 inch gap in the middle, and then all our stall divider boards just slide right in. Now, over here, I have just one piece holding it on between the minis. I never, actually, till this video, forgot I never put the extra piece in there. Over here where Apollo, our foal, is, I usually have a cap on the top there so he doesn't cut himself on it. They've never messed with the gaps in between. Now, as Apollo grows, we actually had boards all the way up here. When his mom died, we took a few boards out so he could socialize a little more with his uncles, the 2 mini horses, and I just never put them back in. Now that Apollo is growing quite rapidly, I'm going to put another 1 or 2 more boards in. I use 2x10s or 2x12s. I'll put it in here off to measure. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll give you guys a close-up of this. I just screw with GRK screws that angle right into that 2x6. I leave a channel, and I can just drop boards in or out as I need them. And then just to keep them secure, I'll put a few GRK screws in that channel there. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. Sometimes the minis get going trying to kick each other. It's a love-hate relationship. If you separate them, they work themselves up into a sweat, almost a lather. If you put them in the same stall, they try and kill each other. So it's a happy medium with those guys, but they like to have a stall that they can lean over and rub noses with, and it seems to keep them happy. So let me flip you around here, show you how we did that. This is super solid, and it's a super easy way to build something that the horses aren't going to be chewing on. That's another question I get a lot, but we'll talk about that here when I flip you around. So here's a better visual for you. That is a 2x6 that is screwed into the 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe there's 5 girts in this 6-foot area. I don't recall off the top of my head. But I use GRK screws. You can see how large the heads are to screw it into the girt and into the plywood. So everywhere there's a screw, it's going into a girt. You can move this and it's not going anywhere up there. I have stall stiffeners, which I'll put a picture in right now, that you can actually hook the 4, 5, or 6 stall boards to give them a little more rigidity. But this has worked out super well. Apollo's not tall enough to get his face on the top. That's on my list for the weekend. And I am going to add 1 or 2 more boards here, and then I'm going to add a filler piece in there. And you can see the 1 mini likes to chew. This has really curbed that. I talked with the dentist. Some people gave me a lot of flack about having this metal stuff around horses. We get the dentist out here once, twice a year, depending on what horses need it. And she said there's been no difference in their teeth. You can see he chewed back there a little bit, but the rest of this, he does not chew. I think having the holes in it make it so they don't want to chew it. I've seen some horses, or actually our minis at the county fair, they are in welded steel stalls with the boards put in, and they will chew on that flat, smooth metal. And we've had no issues here. But super module, like I said, I can pop those screws out and I can pull out those 4 boards in a matter of minutes. And like I said, Apollo's not tall enough to get up here yet, but you don't want to leave those sharp edges. So I'm going to put a piece in there this weekend. But that is pretty much that. We will go out here and show you how we did the front beams for our stalls. All right, so I apologize. I'm going to be moving the camera around a little bit. Might be some weird angles. It's kind of getting dark. We got some rain coming, but I really want to get this video out, and hopefully it helps a few people. So on the corners, I didn't feel a need to go all the way up. I tied into that girt. As you can see how close we are to our garage doors. We have 14-foot wide garage doors, and the aisle is 16 foot, so it goes a foot past on each side. But in the corners, I was able to tie right into that and tie into those pieces, so that gives me a very sturdy corner. Now, as you can see here, this is just a stall front. The gate is attached to this one. So I only put 4x6s where the gates attach. And let me go up and show you. So like I said, this is just the gate. And I bought 16 footers and I went all the way to the bottom of that truss, right, let me see if I can get it, right there. There's one GRK structural screw. I believe it's a 1/4 inch by 8 inches. And that's all that does. There's not a lot of weight on that. And you can see they even hooked our garage door bracing right to that. And that's a nice place to tie in this 2x6 header. But there's a lot of stability in there. And another quick fact, I did not concrete any of these posts in the ground from the stalls. Obviously, the outside perimeter of the barn, they're concrete posts set in concrete. But in here, if we do happen to get a little bit of movement, that's fine. Some people even go as far as they won't attach the top beams to the bottom of the truss. They'll build like a square out so it can't move either direction, but it can slide up and down if the ground heaves. We are right on bedrock, so I don't think that's going to happen. Once a year, I get up there with the impact. I pull that big lag screw out, see if it moves. It hasn't so far. And we're good to go. And then over here you can see on that 4x6 is where we actually hooked the stall walls to. So the stall walls keep it from coming this way, and going up in the rafters keep it from going this way. You can stand on those gates. Oh, there's the rain. Stand on those gates, they're not going to move. Swing it around, just kind of keep showing you. This is our 3 stall side, and the same thing where the stall walls attach, or the stall fronts. They just go up a few inches above that header board. Where the gate is attached over here, that goes all the way up to the bottom of the rafters. I know I said this barn is 30 wide by 80 long. It's actually 13 feet to the bottom of the rafters. I'd actually designed it to be 12. Because of the bedrock issue, we couldn't go as deep as they wanted to, and they were getting ready to cut quite a bit off the top, and I go, hey, time out. We hadn't ordered the metal yet. Can I go up taller? And they go, yeah, we can go 14. And I go, let's just go 13. Now I wish I would have gone that extra foot, but going from 12 to 13 feet tall only cost me, I think, $162 in all the metal. So there's very little amount to order a foot longer pieces of metal. The one thing in this barn that is a little different is right here. This is the only spot in the barn where I have 2 gates on 1 post. My dad said it didn't look right, but I didn't want to have a gate in the corner right above the wall. So that's why we did that. And actually, like I said earlier in the video, our foal's mom passed away a week to the day after. He was born on Valentine's Day. She died a week later. I was out here at 2:30 in that morning giving Apollo a bottle because she never gave him colostrum or milk, which was a whole nother fiasco. And she was okay. She was on some antibiotics. 3 vets had looked at her. I came out at 7 and she had passed away in her stall. So I'm not sure if she had some internal issues that no one caught. And unfortunately, I hate saying it, but I've said it before, and unfortunately I have to say it again. It doesn't matter if you have cattle, goats, hogs, horses, you name it. You can't have livestock without dead stock. And that's just part of the business. Or facts of life, I should say. Swinging around over here, this side of the barn only has 2 stalls. Same thing, where the stall fronts go, they're just hooked up above that 2x6, and then 2 places on this side do they go all the way to the bottom of the rafter. So that is that. What's that? We got a mini over there, the White Horses Jingles, and there's a couple steers out there. So we'll swing you back over here so the light's not being all goofy. And that's what we have going on. And one more thing I just want to say, and it's very funny. Since we've got Jingles, we always like to give them the works. So we had the chiropractor come out. We had obviously the farrier's been out here looking at him. The dentist came out last week. And our dentist runs a very large horse farm not far from here. And very high end, I don't remember the breed, horses. It's not uncommon. I'm guessing they have $3, $4, $5 million worth of horses on this property. And the first time she came to our barn, she couldn't believe how beautiful it was. Now, when I built this barn, I didn't have paychecks coming in at the time. Aesthetics were at the end of my list, and I'm glad that people enjoy it. People think it's pretty. The plywood back here, I bought locally. A company builds these certain size pallets where they need to take like 50 inches off of a board. So therefore, out of an 8-foot piece of plywood, the boards are a little shorter on one side. They can't get rid of them. They just stack them and have to sell them at a discount because they can't get two 50-inch sections out of one piece of plywood. That was just temporary. I wanted to put real nice boards up. I still may do it in the future. So everything is the 2x material is in the front. But like I said, when you buy a property and you're planning on building a farm from scratch, so you can follow your dreams and your kid can follow her dreams on having livestock and horses, and someone tries to take all that away from you, in my case, it cost me my career and 18 months of physical therapy and 2 operations, going back to school. Looks weren't the priority here. It was just function. And I think we did a good job with what we were working with. So I am not in Fremont, Ohio, so nobody be Googling on me. This was a sign that hung in an old barn. Kiddo fell in love with it, and the person who had the barn decided to give it to her. It says broke but happy stables. Now, ever since I was a kid, I saw that sign. I didn't know if it meant like broke as in no money or if it was a play on words, broke but happy stables. So the horses are broke, but they're happy, or are you broke and happy? I don't know. Something to consider. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. I did have an issue with some of my data storage. I have footage of me out here when all these stalls were getting built. I hope I can find it. Hopefully I was able to put it in the video in the back. If I can't, then I really apologize. But if you have any questions, comments, you want to see more pictures, please let me know. One more thing before I forget. Everything in this barn is capped with that metal with the holes in it. And we have had 0 cribbing, except the one mini. But that was from, I think, before I even put that metal on the top. I didn't put on both sides of the stall, so it's just an angle iron, so it only covers the top and one side. And the vet's happy with it. The dentist is happy with it. The horses aren't cribbing. They aren't chewing. They aren't being idiots for the most part. Except I just saw one try and kick the other one out here. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'd be glad to help you. It's starting to rain. I better get these horses in and try and get the steers in and fed before it gets dark. So take care, everybody. As always, God bless and make smart decisions. If you guys have watched the video for a while, AeroQuip cattle handling equipment out of Manitoba, Canada. They liked one of my YouTube videos. I won a giveaway they had, so I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. The grand prize was $7,500 of any equipment I wanted. They're coming out with some new stuff geared towards horses, lighter weight panels. Well, that's what we have, cattle and horses. So I ordered some stuff that's going to benefit the horses. I ordered some stuff that's going to benefit the cattle. That was way back in May, I believe. I got the phone call Friday that the stuff showed up. I'm hoping to go get it tomorrow after work. So it'll probably be dark, but keep in touch. Keep watching. There's going to be a lot of cool products from AeroQuip that we're getting, and I can't wait to do some videos. So take care, everybody. We will catch you on the next one. And I hate getting horses in the rain. They just make me suffer. All right, we'll catch you on the next one.